Hello and welcome everybody to today's webinar. We're very excited to give you a quick overview of the full-time MBA program and then actually interview and interact with some of the current students in the program. So whether you're joining this live or watching the recording afterwards, thank you so much for your time and kind of exploring the Smith School business and the full-time MBA. So before we start, we always like to do a land acknowledgement. So Queen's University is situated on the territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people. Queen's is committed to an inclusive campus community with accessible goods, services, and facilities that respect the dignity and the independence of persons with disabilities. All communications from the Human Rights and Equity Office are available in alternative formats. We also like to mention that this is a recorded session, so don't feel as if though you need to be taking notes. We will be sending the recording afterwards. And if you are watching the recording and you have any questions to follow up, please let us know. We're always happy to connect with you. For those that have joined live, we do have some pre-scheduled questions that we will be asking the students to get the conversation kicked off. But if you are wondering anything about student experience, the transition to the program, or anything kind of student related, please put them in the chat and we will also ask those to the students at the end of the session. So thank you so much for your communication to us today and your questions. So we do like to showcase the school's ability to rank well in the global MBA rankings. So we're proudly #1 in Canada for career services, salary increase, return on investment, along with alumni network. The career services team has actually been ranked #1 for the last 5 years in the MBA landscape in Canada. We do career trips and treks. There's coaching options, networking, and lots of great kind of services that our students can interact with. And then the salary increase, return on investment, we're very happy with. The alumni engagement piece was also one for the last 2 years as well. So you have a career team supporting you and the alumni network supporting you. So certainly lots of things to be excited about as an MBA student here at the Smith School of Business. I do see that we have two of our three kind of all-star students that have joined us so far. I'm going to wait for the third, so I'm going to jump ahead a couple just to give you a high-level overview quickly. So just to give you an idea of what campus looks like. So here's kind of an aerial view above Queen's University and Goods Hall. As you can see on the left-hand side of the slide with the yellow arrow, that's where the business school is located within the greater Queen's campus. So that's where your classes will be held, your team room, that's where your MBA resource center is. And you really have everything under that roof that you need to succeed as a student. And as you kind of work your way across the slide, you'll see other Queens related buildings. So the Queen's University International Center, Stauffer Library, the athletic and recreation complex that you get access to as a student as well. And if you work your way kind of to the top right-hand side of the slide, you'll see the downtown shopping, restaurants, and Market Square area, all within a 15-minute walk to campus. So it's a very walkable city, very open to students. There's 3 institutions in Kingston, so it's definitely a university town, and definitely not a commuter campus. So most people are living kind of within walking distance or a short bus or car ride away, which means there's lots of activities going on in the evenings amongst the list of students as well. I'll kind of quickly show you this modern methodology as well. So when you're in the classroom, you're really learning in a diverse set of ways. So you have the classic instruction and discussion, read a textbook, dissect it as a class, have the professor provide information along with your classmates, but you're also doing living case studies, simulations, real world business projects as well, which is really diversifying the way that you're getting to apply the learning that you're receiving in the classroom. All of these aspects are giving you technical expertise, but then also allowing you to practice your interpersonal skills. So working through team projects, doing presentations, convincing your team to go one direction, potentially in a project or in a situation. So all of those things are making you a better teammate and then also a better leader as well in the process. There's also experiential learning options. So the experiential learning options include things like clubs, student executive committee, and lots of opportunities to kind of practice those leadership skills through the program as well. Finally, how do we measure an ideal MBA candidate? So after we have this fantastic conversation with our students, you'll all be very eager to apply and wonder really what we're looking for in our applicants. So the number one thing would be intellectual horsepower. So that's undergraduate grades. Do you have a master, a GRE, or a GMAT, potentially a CPA or a CFA? So all of those things will kind of go into the intellectual horsepower bucket. Are you kind of capable to go through the academic rigor of the program? That's obviously the most important aspect of the application process. The next is interpersonal skills. So that's interview skills, interactions with your application advisor, and we'll run through those steps in a few moments. And then also your work experience and your teamwork experience. So this is a team-based program. We want to see some teamwork experience in the past, or at least a willingness to work and collaborate with others. And then we do require a 2-year work experience minimum as well, with potentially some promotions in that time and some positive kind of references from your bosses as well. So I do see once again our two students are here. So I'm going to bring it back to the slide where we can do kind of a quick introduction of our two students that have joined so far. And once again, thank you so much to our amazing students for joining. Maybe I'll kick it off to you first, Sanika, and you can just do kind of a quick hello and introduction of yourself before we'll kick it over to Rocky to do the same.
Okay, thank you, Declan. Hi, everybody. My name is Tanika, and as Declan mentioned, I'm currently in the full-time MBA program here at Smith. In fact, we just finished our finance final exam, and we're here for this call. So we're right in the middle of the program. As for my background, I come with an experience working within the indigenous sectors and also financial advisory. Before this, I was here for 3 years with Deloitte. I was working in Vancouver. And as for my undergrad, I've done my undergrad in business administration with a focus in human resources and information systems. The particular reason I am here at Queen's is because I felt like I need to take that next step to excel in my career, but at the same time, I felt that I was a little stuck. So this is more of a pivot for me to focus more on management analytics, which is one of the focuses that Queen's offers with their full-time MBA. So yeah, that's a little bit of me. I'll pass it on to Rocky.
Thanks, Sonica. And hey, Declan, Taylor. Hope you guys are well. And hello to everyone else online. My name is Rocky. And prior to joining the Smith MBA program, I had about 5.5 years of work experience. During that time, I spent 3 years in engineering and project management before pivoting into corporate finance within the CPG industry. I have a background in electrical engineering from Western University. And similar to Sonica, my reason for pursuing the MBA is to take my career to that next level. And naturally, as I went through the different recruiting processes, Smith just stood out to me, and that's what brings me here today. I'm happy to be here and answer any of the questions that you all may have.
Thanks so much, Rocky. So you as well, Katie, if you don't mind, just a quick introduction, say hello. Thank you once again for joining us today.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Declan. So hi, everyone. So my name is Katie. I see that you met my colleagues, Sanika and Rocky, but the reason for me pursuing an MBA is primarily because of the same reasons. To echo what Rocky and Sanika said, is just really to bring me up to the next level and pivot in my career. And this is kind of the perfect time for me to do this with regards to my current status and my family affairs. So my background's in psychology. I've delved in the world of entrepreneurship, having had my own business, as well as in corporate sales and marketing and some government. So my background is quite diversified. So the MBA kind of hones all of my skills and specialties and kind of brings everything together in a nice cohesive way. So it's been quite the journey so far.
Thank you so much, Katie. And yeah, that's definitely, I think, a great sentiment to the program. We have individuals coming from all of these different undergraduate experiences, different work experiences from every corner of the globe. And they're really all here for a common purpose, which is growth in the career, growth as a leader, growth as a teammate. So I really appreciate those words as a kind of an introduction there. And I will throw it back to you, Katie. So I'll do a couple of these questions that we have for the students. And then once again, if anyone on the call has questions, we're happy to kind of pass those on to the students as well to answer. But Katie, over to you first. What factors influenced your decision to choose the Smith MBA over other programs?
Yes, that's a really great question. So, one of the major factors for me was the location. So, I actually had relocated to Kingston a year before the program started. So, that had a huge impact on choosing the program. But apart from that, regardless of being already in Kingston, the reputation of the program is really what stood out the most. Having considered to do an MBA years ago at different universities, I just didn't find that the return of investment would have been worth it at that time. So for me to be in Kingston and to have the opportunity to pursue my MBA at Smith School of Business was just kind of like too good to be true. To have, such a reputable school name attached to that degree says a lot. And another factor as well was the program length. So with it being condensed, I know it's a year, but really it's a little bit less than that. That was a huge factor, just to kind of go all in and get it done. Just for a little bit of background, I was considering the EMBA or the full-time MBA, but the full-time MBA with its duration and just kind of being completely engrossed in the program was really what kind of drew me to the program as a whole, and to kind of have it done in less than a year just sounded like it just fit perfectly. So that was the most appealing thing, and of course the name attached to it as well. So those would be the two factors for me.
Certainly, thanks so much. Yeah, the 1 year model, we hear it all the time. There's less opportunity cost of giving up that second year of work. You're in, it's a condensed format, it's full speed ahead. You're working with your team through the projects and the courses. So that's definitely a positive piece of feedback. That's also part of the reason that we were the #1 return on investment last year in Canada, is really that lack of the second year of opportunity cost that you're giving up. So thank you so much for that, Katie. I'll throw it over to Rocky now. So Rocky, are there any particular courses or professors that have stood out to you so far as a Smith MBA student?
Yeah, most definitely. So a couple jump to mind. I think communications and human capital are two courses that I really enjoyed. And the reason for that is they're not really, when you think about the two topics as is, it's very maybe coming into the program, I had the preconceived notion that they were more fluff than actually tangible. And both of the professors changed my opinions on those topics like right away. Like communication, for one, it was presented in a very structured way. And Professor Reeser broke down every single component of communication, along with how we can work on some of those things. And in human capital, it was a lot more data than what we probably had envisioned going into the course. And it was very interesting to see how that data and maybe some of the more qualitative aspects of a organization sort of mesh together. So both of those are really interesting.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Rocky. I mean, coming from such a technical background, it could be definitely easily assumed that those communication courses may be a little bit lighter, but a lot of the time, those are the skills that are really helping you in your career as well. You could be great in the quants and great at the analysis side, but you do need to be able to communicate that effectively, both to teammates and the market. So I think that's a great answer and really interesting coming from someone with such a technical background. And now I'll throw it over to Sanika. So how has your experience been living in Kingston so far? So that's a big part of the program. Everyone's moving to Kingston, unless you're Katie, who's fortunate enough to be local. But most of our students are moving to Kingston for the duration of the program. So, Sanika, how's your experience been living in Kingston so far?
Yes, that is an interesting question because to give context, I moved here from Vancouver where I was staying for the last 8 years, and I was living in the core of downtown. So it was very happening around me. And I had major misconceptions about Kingston being very quiet and like a small town. But I was pleasantly surprised because when I moved here, I realized how vibrant it is because of the student population within the city. One recommendation I would have is for anybody pursuing the MBA program is to really look for accommodation around goods, which is the main campus building. The reason being, one, it's very student dominated, that area, so you feel at home and you also feel very safe. Two, you're going to spend most of your time on campus, so reducing that commute time as much as possible. It's very helpful, especially when you're going to stay here till 9 p.m. and sometimes you just want to go home, and knowing it's a 5-minute walk is really a blessing. Um, The next thing is the MBA is all about being involved. So the closer you are, the more motivated you're going to be to actually go join those club events, not skip on classes, doing those extracurriculars. That's going to be really helpful. And making friends is going to be difficult because everybody's coming here for a new program. So I think being around campus helps a lot. And lastly, I feel that it's a good transition because you're coming in right when it's snowing in January, towards the end of January, and it gets progressively better. So there's hope for betterment as you go through the program because right now we're in May and we're looking at like things getting warmer and sunnier. So it always gets better. So that's one advice from me.
Oh, I love that. Positive feedback on Kingston as a whole, being young and vibrant, lots of things going on, but also really kind of local to the campus itself. And I've heard that feedback from a lot of individuals. Living within walking distance makes a big difference. You get a little bit of extra sleep in the morning, but then you're also more accessible when it comes to going to those group meetings, going to those club events, or really kind of making use of the different resources that you have available to you as a student, like the athletic and recreation complex, et cetera. So I think that's great feedback and definitely something to consider if you are moving to Kingston for the program. And I did touch on this briefly during the rankings, but our career advancement team has been ranked very high, #1 for the last 5 years. So, Katie, can you talk about how the Career Advancement Center has kind of supported you so far in the program?
Yeah, for sure. So, to put into context, at the beginning of the program, you're assigned a career coach that you have accessible to you throughout the program. And so, essentially, it's kind of, they're there to support you, but you're also your own champion. So how I kind of approached this was I met with my career coach right away, and we actually scheduled weekly meetings between now and the end of June, just to hold me accountable and to continuously build that relationship with the career coach so that we had continuous pulse and checks every week. Granted, sometimes we had to cancel those meetings, but it was an opportunity to just keep that in the forefront and not let it go without being noticed. So what I mean by that is that you're here to learn, but at the same time, you're also looking at what's ahead. And there's a lot of emphasis on getting you, ready for the workforce and what that looks like. But you also have to champion it yourself. So the Career Advancement Center has a ton of resources and support, and they will work with you throughout the program to kind of progress that further. But using your coach primarily is a huge opportunity and a tool that's built into the program. And it's kind of amazing to have that gift. Like to have a coach available to you is quite something. I don't know if anyone's ever looked for a coach outside privately, but it's also quite expensive to have a coach. So take advantage of the services that are offered. And so things that I work on with my coach primarily is just assessing the situation. So as you're going to embark on this journey, you might have an idea of where you might want to go, but that might change. Kind of like what Rocky said, he was surprised with some of the courses that he didn't expect to take out so much that he had from it. So that can speak true to your career as well. So be open-minded and work with your coach to kind of explore that and look at opportunities that exist and ways to work and hone your skills. And they're also there to help with one-on-one feedback, whether or not you want to do a case prep with them or interview with them. They're there to really build you up. So my biggest advice with regards to the Career Advancement Center is just take advantage of what they have to offer. It might be overwhelming because the course load is overwhelming, and this is another thing on top of it, but keep yourself accountable and keep, accessible to them and have them accessible to you. It will really pay off in the end. And they're here to support you and embark on that journey together as a team. So yeah, it's been really nice to have that, especially in my situation that I am doing a career pivot. It's just nice to have another voice to kind of bounce ideas off of and explore things further. And they're very well connected, so you never know what might come out of it or who they might know. So definitely a resource to not overlook for sure.
Thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, they're really there to engage as much as you want to engage with them. Their office is actually one floor below the MBA program, so they're very accessible. And thank you so much for those insights because I think some people read like, oh, career coach online, what does that mean? Is it basically just a list of items that I'm working through? But it really is very personalized and insightful based on the individual, where they're coming from and where they're trying to go. So I think that was a great overview, Katie. So thank you for that. And obviously it is a team-based program. So you have your team room outside of the classroom. You're working through projects together. It's a very collaborative environment. So I'll throw it over to you, Rocky. What have you learned about collaboration, leadership, or conflict resolution through your team experiences so far?
Yeah, no, would be happy to answer that. So when I think about collaboration, leadership, and conflict resolution, I think all three of those things, they're such complex things. And I guess from this team-based experience, you realize how they come in different shapes and sizes and forms. Depending on the individual you're working with, one person's leadership style, for example, will not be the same as someone else's. And as we go rotate through the different projects that we were assigned throughout the year, you really get a sense for like other people's leadership styles or how other people collaborate. And these people that you're working with in a team are coming from such diverse experiences and backgrounds that you can always take tidbits of like nuggets from them, like, hey, this is something that they do that I really like, and I'm going to add it to my repertoire for when I lead the next project or when I'm collaborating on something else. Same goes with conflict resolution. There's so many different styles and ways to sort of navigate those challenging conversations. And the same rings true. You have these different methodologies of resolving conflicts, and just taking and being open-minded and learning from these other people. I think it only makes us stronger as candidates. So it's been tremendous so far.
No, I love that answer. And it's true. I mean, I think when people think of an MBA, they think, oh, I'm going to go to class. I'm going to learn so much from my professors. But you're really learning a ton from your classmates as well. You have individuals coming from different industries, countries, educational backgrounds. Maybe they have lots of leadership experience. Maybe they don't have as much. So you're really becoming a better leader after being exposed to the other individuals in your group as well. And that comes to the learning. Maybe one of you is great at finance, one of you is great at marketing, sales, presentations. But as you work through these projects together, you're actively learning from your teammates as you are also learning from the faculty members. So I really like that you said that you're grabbing insights and nuggets from these individuals, maybe tweaking or adding to your repertoire of leadership or collaboration skills, conflict resolution. So I really appreciate that, Rocky. And then I'll throw it over to you, Sanika. So what do you think has been the most surprising aspect of the program so far? What has been kind of a standout moment for being surprising?
I would say there are two things that really surprised me. The first one is I've done my undergrad in Canada too, and when I was doing that, again, there was like a recruitment team, there was an admission support team, there was the dean. But after I got to university, I never interacted with any of them throughout like the 4 or 5 years that I was in university. Something that's very different with this program is every single person that you meet before you get in, like Declan or Terry or Jeff, the recruitment advisors, the admission advisors, they are all actually very hands-on when you do the program. They are constantly seeing you every day. You can reach out to them, you can speak with them throughout the 1 year. So it's a very close-knit family environment that they create within the program. They don't just talk the talk, but they actually walk the walk, which was very like pleasantly surprising for me. The second thing is, I think back to Rocky's point is that we knew that the MBA program is about learning from the peers as well. And these peers come from very different experiences, and that can sometimes be a little intimidating where you compare yourselves with, say, 70 other people in the class. And I thought that it would have been an extremely professional environment, which it is, but to my surprise, it's also intensely enjoyable. You're all in the same mentality to hustle, to put in the best work, and you call it trauma bonding, but you end up enjoying the process so much. I felt like I would wait for the MBA to be done, but now that I'm halfway through, I'm so sad that I am in the midway point and it's going to be done in the next 6 months. So it's a very rewarding, it's challenging, but at the same time, it's an enjoyable experience. But the control to really enjoy and make it rewarding is completely on you about how much you put in.
No, I think that's a great answer. I think everyone definitely expects the academic rigor, the challenge, but really that sense of community is something that is really important when you're in an MBA program as well. Our offices are right next to the classroom. My office right now is essentially right across the hallway from the classroom, so I'm always hearing excitement coming out, people going into their team rooms, coming in out at breaks as well. And that's one of my favorite aspects of the job. And we're certainly here to support you guys throughout the program. And there's several other staff members, coaches that are available to you as well. And then as an individual kind of group of students, you become very close. We only have 80 students in the class every year, and that's very intentional. We want you to walk across the stage at the end, be very close knit on a first name basis with your classmates. We don't want you looking to your left and your right and you're thinking, oh, that person must have been in a different section. It's definitely a close knit community. So I'm really glad that you used that question as an opportunity to share that, Sanika. Thank you so much. At this point, we will throw it over to the chat. So if there are any questions in the chat, we'll certainly answer those. I mean, this is about you guys asking questions to the students as well. And if we haven't already answered some, I actually do have a couple other as well that I can ask the students. So we'll go over those over. So do we have any, Terry Lynn, in the chat, or should I just continue on?
Yeah, I see a couple there. The first one is, how manageable is the workload, particularly if you're balancing something outside of the program as well, like family, or can you work during the program? I don't know if anyone wants to jump into that. Katie might be a good one since she's actually juggling two young kids at home, I know.
Yeah, for sure. So, like Terry Lynn mentioned, so I have two young kids at home, and my husband's also a full-time student as well. So, I was worried about this as well, being able to juggle everything, not having support here. But I will say that it is manageable. Like, if you have kids, you kind of know that time management is essential. So just being able to coordinate and manage your time appropriately, it is a lot. Like, I won't sugarcoat it. It is more than a full-time job for sure. But the nice thing about it, going back to the team, is that you have a team where pretty well 50% of your deliverables are team-based. So working with your team and being able to divide the workload evenly is super beneficial, and just kind of really supporting each other. And I think that's been like really impactful and making my success so far pretty smooth. So it is a lot, definitely, but it's just all about time management, and it is absolutely doable. And I mean, I'll be the first to say I have not pulled an all-nighter, never will, and I'm feeling like I'm doing okay. So yeah, it's definitely manageable even with kids. It's just making sure that you have your ducks in a row, and managing your time accordingly, and then really working with your team to ensure that the workload is evenly spread throughout the courses, and having that open dialogue and communication is key.
Thanks so much, Katie, for sharing. The other one I see there is, has your perspective on career or goals changed since starting the program? And I'll throw that out to anyone if anybody has anything to add or that they'd like to share. Have your career goals shifted, or have you learned anything from the Career Advancement Center that has changed your goals or your perspective on career?
I guess I can go for this one. So I don't think it necessarily changed my perspective on career. It just kind of maybe opened it up in a way. So coming in, I was pretty open-minded, and or had an idea of areas of interest. But working with the Career Advancement Center, it's been able to kind of maybe enlighten me a little bit more to different opportunities that I might have overlooked or not considered. But then also expose me to more opportunities just by way of the course structure, and your different professors, and kind of what they bring into their course materials too, I think is really valuable. So as far as goals go, I don't think it's shifted my goals per se. I still am very oriented on where I kind of want to end up for myself, like holistically. But it's definitely broadened my horizons to think about different opportunities and kind of explore what's out there. And I think not only the Career Advancement Center, but again, bringing back the professors, I've been actually presently surprised with how many times I want to, book office hours with them just to discuss about their careers, their networks, and what they have to offer. And they're also equally as valuable. So that was a little bit of a shift or a surprise I wasn't expecting.
Great, thanks, Katie. Sonika, it seems like you have something to add.
Yes, I just wanted to add a perspective as a former international student. So I moved here from India. So it wasn't surprising for me currently, but I do know a lot of our colleagues come internationally, and they'll be starting with just this program. And something that would be surprising potentially for them would be the emphasis that is put on the networking aspect for job hunt, because it's not straightforward that you do the degree and you apply for jobs and then you you get a job. It's a lot more complicated. The good thing is there are a lot of resources from the CAC where they help you get to that level where you're capable of getting those jobs. But there is a very heavy emphasis on networking and relationship building within the Canadian market that could be surprising for some students out there, especially the international ones.
Yeah, I think Katie and Sonika put it perfectly. To answer the question, has my goals changed since the beginning? No, it hasn't. But what has changed is I now have a more breadth view of how I can get to my goals through the different career paths that could potentially get me there. And also, as Sonika mentioned, how I can get there. So, like the networking components and all the other little tips and bits of information that the career services help us with to sort of get us to where we want to go. But I think it only opened up more opportunities and more ways for us to kind of bridge ourselves from now until or to where we want to be.
Awesome. Thanks, Rocky and Sanika. That's all the questions that I have. So Declan, I don't know if you want to ask any more or carry on, but thank you both, or for each of you for speaking.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue. I know once again, has been shared from the students, they are very busy, so we won't hold them for too much longer. Once again, thank you so much for your time today. But I think we will end off on kind of more of an advice piece, which was actually kind of being brought out naturally from the students there. So thank you. So I'll pass this one to Sanika, but if either Katie or Rocky have any insight they want to share afterwards, please feel free to do so. And then you guys can return to your very busy schedule, and Terry Lynn and I will run through some of the application requirements with the attendees here. So, Sanika, what advice would you give to someone who's considering the Smith MBA? So, what's something that maybe you wish you had known coming in, or any piece of advice in general that you'd want to share?
Um, so I personally was thinking about doing an MBA. I was considering it for the last few years, and the things that stopped me was one, the time commitment, secondly, the financial investment that goes into it. So I think one advice that I would give is that be very sure about whether an MBA is going to add value to your career or not. It's not just a piece of paper. It's actually a lot of work, and it's going to be driven by you. So you have to be intrinsically motivated to get there. At Smith particularly because the program is built in a way where you're also with like it's a team approach. So understand what that team approach is before coming in, because if you come into the program and after some point you feel like this is not the right fit for you, and if you don't put in the work, it is also others who are going to bear the cost of that. So I would say being extremely certain is very important. So give that time to yourself to make an informed decision. And second advice would be that apply early for the program, especially if you're thinking of a scholarship. There's a limited pool of financial support that they give out. So the earlier apply, the higher chances you have of getting them. And lastly, speak with the advisors as much as possible. Like, make them your best friends. You can reach out to them. They're very responsive. Talk to them, answer everything. And yeah, just make an informed decision. That would be my advice.
It's great feedback. It's very important that you understand the team nature of the program coming in. I try to always stress that in the interviews. We try to stress that in these situations as well. If you are someone that likes to be collaborative, work with other lead teams, be a member of a team, then it's a great fit. If you're more of a individualistic person, you want to just do your own work and complete it and submit it, maybe it's not the best fit. So I do really appreciate that feedback. It is honest. So that's definitely something to consider when coming into the program. And I'm not sure if Rocky or Katie have anything else to add. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, so certainly don't feel as if though you have to share anything. But if you have anything to add, please let me know.
Yeah, I really like what Sonika said about being intentional. I think come into the program with some sort of direction on where you want to end up and where you see your career in, I don't know, like 30, 40 years. Um, I think the program, you don't necessarily have to have like an exact path of how you'll get there. The program will show you, you'll learn from your peers, and people will support and build you there. But it is very important to have a rough idea of where you want to go.
So much, Rocky.
Yeah, and just to add to that a little bit too, I love what Sonika and Rocky just had to say, but another opportunity to leverage too is on the website there are a list of MBA ambassadors that are current students in the program. Definitely leverage those students. They're there for a reason, and the whole point of having the ambassador is that they are a resource for prospective students to reach out to and ask questions. That's something I don't think I actually fully recognized the value in and didn't really engage too much. And looking back, I probably would have or should have. I definitely encourage that. It's just an opportunity to have a conversation, and it's also an opportunity to practice your networking skills too before the program starts. I think that's a really great segue for that component of career advancement. But it's a way to be candid and ask questions one-on-one with a student that's currently in the program. I don't know if you've been on it yet, but there's a little bio about each student. So you can kind of find a student that maybe aligns with your background or interests, and then just reach out to them and they're there. So definitely leverage and take advantage of that too.
No, I really appreciate all that feedback, and that's definitely great advice for the next kind of list of individuals that will be applying to the program. The ambassador page is fantastic. To Katie's point, all current students, a good opportunity to ask about student experience, but then also kind of practice that networking skills. And to be honest as well, when we're in those admissions committee meetings and the individual that we've interviewed has said, "Oh, I reached out to a few current students. I really engaged in asking these questions," it really shows the intent that they're taking in trying to take the program. And it's an extra step that can definitely go a long way as well when it comes to kind of our communication about your file. So I think it's good on the student's end to ask questions and really figure out, is this a good fit for me? But then it can also help kind of establish relationships with current students and really kind of deepen your chances of getting in as well, honestly. So once again, thank you so much for your time today, Sanika, Rocky, and Katie. I know you guys are very busy. You've certainly gone over the full-time nature of the full-time MBA program. And it is a year, and it's fast and it's flying by. So thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to answer these questions today. I know it's very valuable for the attendees. So thank you so much. We're going to continue on and do some application requirements. I know you guys are very busy. Feel free to drop off. You don't have to if you want to listen to the overview, but you've all been through the application process and it went well. So certainly don't feel as if you have to stay, but we really just wanted to express our gratitude for you guys joining today. And in saying that, I'll now throw it over to Terry Lynn, who's our application advisor for the Full-time MBA program and is definitely the best individual to connect with about this information. So I'll pass over to Terry Lynn, and I will run the slide. So I apologize if there's a few seconds delay, but I'm going to throw it over to the first application requirement slide now.
All right, thanks, Declan. So Declan touched earlier on what we're looking for in an MBA candidate. So that's kind of the things that make a candidate stand out in the interview and the admissions committee process. But first, before you kind of get there, we need to know if you're eligible for the program. So I've listed some of the requirements that we're looking for here on the page. Academics wise, you need to have a bachelor's degree or equivalent, ideally with a B+ average or better. But if you don't have that average, talk to an application advisor, learn a little bit more about your professional background and how other things that can complement that and help out in that area. We're looking for a GMAT or a GRE score. I've listed our competitive averages there. Again, don't count yourself out. Talk to an application advisor because we are very holistic when looking at an application in general. So we can look at your professional experiences, your academic experiences, other designations or certifications that you may have that kind of help round out that profile. So again, talk to your application advisor about whether or not you need a GMAT, what kind of score you should be aiming for, that kind of thing. Work experience wise, ideally you have at least 2 years of post-grad work experience, but the average of our students is about 3 to 5 years of experience. On the range wise, we have typically candidates with 2 to 9 years of work experience in the program. So it is kind of the mid-career, mid to early or early to mid-career type program. If you did your undergraduate education in a language other than English, you will be required to submit an English language proficiency exam, and I've included the scores required for that. But these are kind of the base minimum requirements to get to be able to be eligible and apply to the program. Again, if you have any question marks about any of these things, we have recruitment advisors and application advisors available to help guide you on that and give you tips on how to strengthen if you aren't quite eligible yet, or suggestions on ways to improve your profile for future intakes. Next slide, please, Declan. So with regards to the application process, like I've referred to, you will have an application advisor that you're assigned to. That's myself and my colleague Beth, who you can see pictured up on the screen. The application advisor is the role of the application advisor is to help guide you through the application process, start to finish. So first, we're going to assess your eligibility, determine if you're eligible for the program, and like I said, if you're not, we can give you ways on how to improve your eligibility for a future intake. If you are eligible, we'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to complete your application. Set you up for the interview process, all of those things. We will work with you right through the process. So there's no guessing. You have us to answer questions that come up along the way, things like that. And we're also here to help you present a strong application and advocate for you with our admissions committee. So we'll get to know you throughout the process. We can give you tips on how to strengthen, improve your resume, your cover letter, things like that. So we're here to advocate for you. So you can switch to the next slide, please, Declan. So to start the application process, all you need to do is fill out the online application form where you're going to be asked to submit a resume or a LinkedIn profile and a copy of your undergraduate transcripts at minimum. From there, the application advisor, myself or Beth, is going to have a look through your professional experiences, your academic experiences, and determine your eligibility for the program. And from there, we'll give you, like I said, steps if you're not, or move you on to the next stage of the application process, which is building your application portfolio. For that, I've listed the items that are required to complete your application, essentially a cover letter, professional references, the official report for your GMAT or GRE. We have a video assessment portion of our application, kind of like an asynchronous interview, as well as your official transcripts. If you did your education in another country, you may be asked to submit a WES assessment. And then if you, like I mentioned, if you need to submit a English language proficiency test, we also require that official document. Once you've completed the application items and submitted everything, then we'd schedule you for an interview. Your file will be reviewed by the admissions committee. They're reviewed regularly, and you'd be invited to interview if your application is competitive. The interview is live, so we can do them virtually or in person, and it's scheduled with one of our program directors or program leadership. They're scheduled to be about an hour in length, and they're very conversational. We'll talk a lot about your career goals, why you're doing an MBA, why the Smith MBA is a good fit for you, your strengths, your weaknesses, that kind of thing. And then once you have your interview, we can get an admissions and scholarship decision to you within 1 to 2 weeks of that interview. So it can happen fairly quickly on our end once you finish your application. The scholarship portion I will touch on that you don't have to apply separately for scholarships. Your file will automatically be considered for scholarship at the time your file is reviewed for admission. And then, like I alluded to, we do take a very holistic approach when reviewing candidates. We're going to look at your academics, your professionalism, your professional experiences, your career goals, how aligned they are, and your ability to work on a team, all of those types of things. So we make a decision not just based on one factor of your application. That's kind of the application process in a nutshell. That's all I have, Declan. If you have anything to add, go ahead.
Thanks so much, Terry Lynn. Yeah, we get positive feedback from the application advisors all the time. All the applicants are always singing the praises of how smooth the process is, how quick they're getting responses back, how clear the application advisors make the steps. It's really like having a buddy in your corner that's helping you through the steps, really enhancing your chances on getting into the program, honestly. So thank you so much for the overview. In saying that, next steps briefly, once again, to Terry Lynn's point, submit your resume and unofficial transcripts for a preliminary assessment. To Katie's point, schedule a virtual coffee chat with a student ambassador is always a great way to connect with current students, practice your networking, but also get some firsthand feedback on how the student experience has been. They're categorized by what areas they're interested in. So you could pick someone that's very similar to you or completely different, or maybe a portfolio of different conversations that you can set up. Certainly, you can scan the code there for a virtual consultation as well if you wish to do so. I actually did also want to mention 2 other events. So it says visit our website to register for upcoming events. We have an event next week in Toronto, Thursday evening. I believe it's the 22nd. We'll be in Toronto. The information's on the website. You can register. We're actually doing a GMAT free overview with AdmitMaster. So Sergey from AdmitMaster will come to our Smith Toronto facility. So it's a great way to check out the Toronto campus that we have, which is where we host our career trips and treks for the Full-time MBA group. We'll do roughly an hour-long GMAT kind of overview. We'll do some prize draws, and then there'll be some opportunity to connect with some graduates of the program as well that have gone through and some of the exciting things that they're doing. So it's a free event. Sign up on the website. And then also in early June, so on Saturday, June 7th, we're also hosting a summer showcase. So the summer showcase is hosted in our Kingston facility. We have a bus coming from Toronto, and there's also options for stipend, travel reimbursements if you are from one of the other local markets. We're really opening up the campus for the day. We're doing a mini lecture, a student panel, a career advancement center overview, a networking lunch with current students. There's a student versus staff soccer game that you can watch that is a great tradition that we have within the full-time MBA program. And there's also a trolley ride of Kingston. So if you really wanted to check out that community that Sanika was talking about, and the other students we're talking about as well, please come visit us. It's also on the website. So it's a good idea to keep an eye out for those upcoming events. Those two are in person, and we have other kind of online webinars and events coming up as well, but I wanted to promote those two. So once again, regardless if you're here live watching it, or if you're watching the recording, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in your application, and really lean on Terry Lynn and Beth throughout that process, and we know you'll do great. Thanks, everybody.